Today I'm talking about more things you may have missed in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. I've already made one video and I'll leave a card at the end of this video and a link in the description so you can check it out. But this time around I came up with some things that seriously may shock you about the game in reference to the movie. Make sure you let me know which one is your favorite after the video, and if you like what I do, consider subscribing and hit your notifications. Let's go ahead and get into it. First thing I want to start with is the gas station, which I briefly mentioned in part 1, but this is actually a real gas station. And from what I've seen, it's called the gas station. It's actually in Bastrop, Texas, and this is a place that not only can you visit, but you can actually stay the night in one of their cabins. They have replicas of the original truck and the van that the victims drove. And these guys fully embrace their Texas Chainsaw Massacre heritage. They even have a store full of horror collectibles and items that you can buy. One of the coolest parts, though, is they don't sell gas, just like in the movie.
I got no gas.
But they do sell barbecue. And it looks like the original Coca-Cola sign. I'm sure maybe at some point it's been redone, but it actually says, "We slaughter barbecue," on the sign out front. It's really cool to see a place like this. Definitely somewhere I'd like to visit in the future. Another cool thing with the game and the movie is you'll notice on the sign in the movie, they sell worms apparently. That's right there on the front door. You see that same sign in the game. Also, the Coca-Cola sign to the right of that door, if you're looking straight at it, has been replaced with a quick soda sign. There's also a little barbecue pit on the wall that you will see in the movie as well. Another cool thing you'll notice is the truck that's in front of the family house in the game is the exact location where Cook dropped it off once he took Sally back to the house to meet the family for their little get-together. When they first find the Sawyer house, Pam is introduced to the Sawyer's way of life by the decorations that they have in the house, which includes skeletons and bones and lamps that are made of human remains, live chickens in cages, feathers everywhere on the floor, and also a sprawled out skeleton couch. You can find that same couch in the family house. Not only that, the same window that Sally, the final girl in the movie, jumps out of to escape the family house down the long driveway is the same window right there in the living room with the skeleton couch. Now, this is pretty crazy detail right here. If you go into the dining room, you will notice that the table is set up very similar to how it's set up in the movie. There's a chicken head on a little wooden platform facing Sally. There's an armadillo. There's a skull. And there's actually a skull lamp in the corner of the room. It even looks like some of the same dishes that they were eating, whether that was actually pork or sausage or something else, are on some of those plates in the game. You'll notice that there's a little lampshade and it looks like it has a face on it. Well, that is somebody's literal face. Well, that same face lampshade, if you will, is in the game as well in that dining room. Now, by now, if you don't know, Sissy was actually a made-up character, but these are from direct notes from the original screenwriter, Kim Heinkel. But interestingly enough, she had actually spent time with the Manson family, like the Charles Manson family, which is where she learns the songs that you hear in the game.
When you see the children, X's on their head, if you dare to look at them, soon you will be dead.
Now, another crazy little thing is when you see all the skeletons and bones and all this kind of stuff in the game, remember that in the movie, a lot of these were real props, including the chicken head I was telling you about. Now, obviously, they were going for authenticity, but the budget was tight. And so back then, it was actually cheaper to get real human remains and skeletons from India than plastic replicas. And so they used a lot of that stuff. And according to the cast and Toby Hooper, the smell was pretty awful because the bones would start to cook under the lights they were using to film the movie. So there you go. That may gross you out, but there's another little tidbit when you're roaming around the family house and some of these other places with all these skeletons. Now, Leatherface is a fan of keeping his meat cold, and that's where he eventually puts Pam. Jerry actually finds her and she comes out screaming all wide-eyed and, obviously freaked out. Well, these freezers are the same ones that you can use to hide in the game. And the last thing we'll talk about is the cost to make the game. Now, the original movie from 1974 cost $140,000 to make. They had a really tight budget, like I said. I couldn't find the exact numbers on Texas Chainsaw, but through Kickstarter campaigns, they actually raised $1.2 million to make Friday the 13th, with obviously the same company. So I think it's safe to say that Texas Chainsaw cost more than $1.2 million to make. So when you think about it, the movie cost 10 times less than what it took to make the video game. I'd love to hear any more interesting details that you may know about Texas Chainsaw and some of the references that they've used. If any of these surprised you, or maybe what was your favorite one, leave those in the comments. Again, if you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you on the next one. And as always, hold them down.